Good evening.
Okay, we're recording.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Elena, and I'm going to be the Watson Analytics System Administrator. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to help you get started in Watson Analytics. Get started with Watson Analytics. So this is today's agenda. I'm going to explain what Watson Analytics is, and I'll briefly go over how to get started, the course that you need to take, and the invitations that you need to accept. And then we'll go over the 3Ds of Watson Analytics. We'll go over refining data, natural language questions, the prediction models, and how to present your findings, how to save the work, and I'll show you some useful documentation resources. All right? So, you might be wondering, what's Watson Analytics? Well, you can put your data in, and Watson Analytics will help you understand your data just through analysis and the presentations. All right, so we're gonna have to make a rule. When somebody is not speaking, you're gonna be on mute. All right, only one person speaks at the same time. So anyway, Watson Analytics is user-friendly and intuitively, and there is a very little or no learning curve. Very easy to use, right? And no programming knowledge is required. So here there is a link to the video. You want to check about the Smart Data Discovery video. And you're going to have a copy of the slides after this session. All right, so here is a brief history of Watson Analytics, and I put a link. This is a famous game, Jeopardy. So there were two contestants, Ken and Brad, right? So they used to win a lot of games, but then suddenly they got a new player, Watson Computer, right? So that's set the beginning to Watson Analytics, right? So here you can watch this video and read this article at your leisure. Now let's keep going. Yesterday, all of you should have received the account invitation from me. Watson Analytics account invitation email, right? What you need to do is, if you have not done this already, after this session, go check your email, and it's an email account that you have in Leo. I used your email from your Leo profile, and you want to check your junk folder if you don't see it in the inbox. Well, unfortunately, they took out the capability to resend an invitation. So this invitation cannot be resent. So I'm going to ask you all to help me just by looking through your inbox and by looking through your junk folder. Try to find the invitation and click on accept, right, to validate your email address. So next step, you're going to take the Watson Analytics 101 free course from Cognitive Class University. You're going to create an account, right? An account is free, and then you're going to take this course, and after you're done with the course, you will download your completion certificate, and you're going to upload it to your assignment folder, right? So this class is self-paced, and you may review as many times each video as many times as you need to, but here is the deal. You have to get 70% average score. You have 1 hour to take the test. For true and false questions, you have one attempt. But some questions are multiple choice, or if it says select all that applies, and the answer may have more than one. The question may have more than one correct answer, so you get 2 attempts for those. Only 1 attempt to pass the course, but if you don't pass, contact me, I'll tell you what to do, but let's cross that bridge if we get there. Hopefully we won't. Now, remember, you're not going to use the back button. Stay away from using the back button, because you might lose your work, you might lose your points. Alright, and make sure that you submit all questions before 1 hour elapses. It's very important. Now, here it is. That was brought to my attention, and I need to bring it to your attention. You see this little buttons that looks like arrow? Those are the navigation. Oh, what was that? Oh, Paul asked me a question. Other review questions, select all that apply or true or false. Well, some questions are true or false, some questions are select all that apply, and some questions are multiple choice. You'll see them. There are, oh yes, not a problem, not a problem. Okay, so anyhow, what I wanted to bring to your attention, see these arrows over here as you navigate through the class, you'll see those arrows, right? Basically, those are not the navigation buttons, those are decorative buttons. See this? So that's not our actual menu. You want to use the menu in the left to navigate through the course. And for the videos, you can download the transcript, but you cannot download the video at the moment. It's taken out. Right. So basically, you have what, like 7 modules. So I would recommend you, strongly recommend you to start tomorrow, as early as tomorrow. And you can do several per day. And at the end of each module, you have a lab, and you have the quiz, right? You have 3 questions that you need to answer, and those questions count toward the course grade. Now, so you want to make sure that you do it, but you may want to skip the part that talks about the database. We're not going to use database in this class. Just keep in mind that there is an option to do so. Okay. Now, this is a web page that you may want to bookmark, because after you accept an invitation, that's a page that you want to use to log in going forward. So just go ahead and add this bookmark to your browser if it helps. Then when you navigate to this page, you need to click on sign in, and you'll be redirected to the login prompt, and you put your IBM ID and password. Since we are on the screen right now, see this link, forgot your password? That's what you do if you have to reset your password at any time. And make sure that you still remember an email, right? Your IBM ID is an email that you are using. Well, in this case, it's going to be your email in Leo, because that's an email I use to create your account. Now here, this is almost how the landing page looks like, I would say, because there are a few more buttons at the top. But the main idea is that you'll see the data tile, you'll see the discover and display, you'll see the 3 tiles. You might think of it as a workflow. First, we have to upload our data, right, or get our data from somewhere. Then we have to build the models, right? And after that, we have to present our findings. So we create a display. It could be a dashboard, it could be an infographic, or it could be, we get to it later, the storybook. In the left panel, and I'm going to get to applications shortly, but in the left panel, you're going to see 2 folders, personal and shared. Personal is what you see, everything that's available only to you. Shared is what you see and people who have certain permissions to see the file, right? And that's going to be useful at the time when you start working on your last assignment. And we're going to have another class, another session, and I'll show you how to share files with your teams. I promise it will happen. So let's see here. This is our rule, very important. You're going to forget that a back button even exists. You're not using the back button, you're going to use the menus. Right, there is a nice menu at the top. Now, what I like is that in every single screen, you're going to see this button, question mark. And if you click on it, it's going to take you to documentation. It's very rich documentation, a lot of useful articles broken down by the topic. For instance, data, and then you have discovery, you have displays, and each topic is broken down by subtopics. And some of these articles even have videos, right? So you're going to like that. Here, I put a summary of the Watson Analytics. I call it 3Ds, because you have data, discover, display, right? It's very easy to remember. All right. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen. So let's make sure that you can see my screen. Yes, you do now, hopefully. All right. So this is what I was talking about, the 3Ds, data, discover, display. So when you first log in, you're probably going to have a couple simple data sets. That's it, right? I'm now on personal. I have shared. I'm not going to see other users. You're not going to see other users. I see it, it's because I'm an administrator. You will not see that. You only see personal. And what else you will see? You will see shared. And when you click on it, when you expand it, inside the shared, you will see more sample dataset. You're not going to see all these folders that I see right now. I see it because I'm an administrator. But you will see this folder called more sample datasets. This is what you can use for your assignment. And I will show you how to do that. So basically, you have a read-only access to this folder. You have a read-only access to more sample dataset folder. What you have to do is you have to click on ellipsis right here. When you do this, the menu opens up. You will see only refine because it's a view-only, right, access. What you have to do is you're going to click on refine. Now, what you'll do is you click here and you're going to do this, save as. You're going to save as. And then you're going to select personal, right? And you're going to select save. Well, it says asset already exists. And the reason I'm getting this error is because I already saved a copy. I already saved this copy of this specific file to my personal area, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And now let me try again. Let me try another file. Like for instance, see this? I like this file. I'll have to do this. I have to go refine, and then I go file. I go here. I do save as. Oops. I go save as, and then I have to give it. I can rename it, right? Or I can just go personal. Let's see if it lets me. Now it lets me. Now, the reason I got an error that I got earlier is because you can have only one file in your folder with the same name, right? So this is saving. Very important. When it's saving, you don't want to stop it. You just let it do its work, right? You don't stop the process, because when you stop it, you are actually starting another process to undo. So that's one reason why Watson Analytics could be slow. It's because when you start something and then you stop it, you're kicking off another process to stop it, right? So you want to avoid it. So now this is one way to get data from that folder that I put for you. Another way to get data is you click on new data, of course, and see a bunch of data sources. We're not going to use all of them, but just keep in mind that they exist. Now here, what you can do, this is sample data. That's data that comes with Watson Analytics itself. So if you are watching the use case, and if you want to follow along, what you could do is you can click on this data set, and you can just click import. You just select this and click on import. And what it's doing, it's going to add the tile to your personal area, right? It's going to add the tile to your personal area. I have a lot of stuff in my personal area, so sometimes I just have to do the search, right? I can search here for the data set that I want to find. Alternatively, I can use this to sort my data, and I can sort it by name, and I can sort it by data quality, by type, and by last modified date, right? So I can do this. I can sort here, yes, and in different order, ascending or descending, right? What I could also do is I can click on new data, and I can load the data from local file. Local file means file from my desktop, right? Like earlier today, I loaded cars, right? Or I can just, let me try to load another one, cars D, just to show you what happens. I do this, and then I click on import, and what it's going to do is, it says processing. Basically, by processing, it means that Watson Analytics is trying to identify the fields in my data set and relationships among the fields. So this is very important. You want to make sure that the field names are descriptive, right? You want to make sure, let me go through it while it's loading. So we are uploading the data from the data file, right? We clicked on the new data, then we selected from files. I clicked on browse and I picked the file and I clicked on import, right? That's what I did. I have to go over. I must tell you that there are certain rules that the files need to follow. The data must be in a tabular format. If it's an Excel file, you want to delete all the formatting. Every field should have a name, and you want to make sure that the field names are descriptive, and I'll explain to you why. Make sure that there is at least one numeric field, and you want to make sure that all values in the same column have the same data type, and make sure that there are no totals, subtotals. Then every row should represent one data record. There should be no blank rows in between, and you don't want to have any empty columns, and then the file should not be password protected. That's important. So here I put some examples of what's not good, right? See, this first example, that's not good because I have some special formatting in my file. This is not good. The second example is not good because my fields are not descriptive. I don't know what A1 is. I won't be able to ask my natural language questions, right? So here, well, I have other problems. Look at the age. I have numbers, and then I have a teenager, retired, adult. You see, this is a problem, not the same data type, right? Here, this is important. This is some troubleshooting. If you get this error, when you try to import the data set, it means that you already have a data set with the same name. You have an option, you have to rename it. Right? You have to rename it. And another issue is that if your Excel file has more than one tab, you can choose which tab you want to import. Now, for the sake of the test that you'll be taking, the correct answer on a test is that only the first tab gets imported. That's the correct answer on a test, because the test was made before this feature was added. If you still see this question on the test, right, only the first tab can be imported. But in reality, you may choose no. All right. We're gonna go to refining data now, but let me go back to Watson Analytics. So we are done here. You see here, this is a quality score. Basically, Watson Analytics is going to look at each column, and it's going to look at the skewness. It's going to check if there are missing values, and based on that, it will compute the data quality score. So let's go look at the refine. It will make more sense, right? So let's look at the cars, actually, this copy, and I'm going to do refine. Okay. So now what you'll see here is that here the field names, those are the same as the field names in the original input file, right? Which is CSV or Excel or whatever data source you use. Now, if I click here, I'm supposed to see the data quality score. See that this is ID, and if there is no data quality score, it's because it's just unique identifier. And more likely, you would probably want to exclude this from analysis. And as you may hear in the later courses in the program, that sometimes unique identifiers slow down the methods. Sometimes they slow down the methods. It's because it's just a unique identifier. See how many values you got, and it just it's not meaningful. Basically, you want to exclude it from analysis. Now take a look at this. See this? The car make, the distribution is close to normal. The closer it is to normal, the higher the data quality score. On the other hand, take a look at this engine location. See this? This is skewed, right? So data quality score seems to be low. and so on. Well, something similar goes for the numeric variables, right? And here it gives you percentage of missing values, and in this case there are none. What you could also do is you could create calculations, and you can create the data groups, right? So here, now remember that for the test, adding a calculation or adding a data group will create new column, not field but column. If I was grading this manually, I would have counted field as the correct answer, but unfortunately that question on a test is where you have to key in the answer, you have to type in. So it's column, it's not field, it's column. Well, I'm telling you that one because it's really tricky, you have to type in. So when I create a calculation here, I'm going to add the new column, right? So I can say, perhaps I can say discounted price, right? And here what I'll do is I can select my column, which is, I want to select price, but I can do this, I can search for it, right? Because the list of fields is too long, and sometimes you don't see it right away, you can search for it. And I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna subtract 1,000, and I'm gonna click done. So what did it do is it created a new column, and after that I can even create another column. If I wanted to, I can create another column and use this column in my calculation, right? So remember, this is called column. Now I made some changes perhaps, and I want to save this, right? I want to save this. Another way to add new column is to create a data group. And for the data group, you could see it's called binning, you could see it called discretization. There are different terminologies you see in the textbook. So it works differently for numeric variables and for the discrete variables. For example, suppose that, let me click here, and I want to create a data group, right? And, oops, data group. And here, okay, take a look at this. Body style, just an example, right? Watson Analytics did not give me the predefined groups, did it? No, it did. It did not. I have to physically create them. I have to click on new group, and for instance, I'm just making it up. I'm gonna say style 1. I'm gonna click OK, and then what I'll have to do is I have to add this just by clicking, right? So I added these two guys to the first group. Now I'm gonna create a new group, and I put it style 2, right? Style 2, and now I'm gonna do this, right? So what I have on the left panel here are the values that I have not used, right? And now here I'm just gonna say body, I'm just gonna say style binned, right? There we go. So here I have two data groups, right? And I'm doing it intentionally. I omitted one value intentionally. I'll show you what happens. I'm gonna click on done. Now remember what happens when we created a data group, right? We added a new column, right? So it usually adds a column all the way at the end. So see here it is style binned. Notice here it's empty. And the reason it's blank is because I excluded one value. Do you remember? I was doing this, I was using the style field, style column rather, and I did not, there was one value that I didn't put in any group. So those are the records with that value that I didn't put in any group. So if you see this, it means that you may have missed one of the values. And also notice that there is no data quality score for this column, right? On the other hand, if I was doing it for the numeric column, for example, city miles per gallon, which is a car efficiency, right? In other words, well, See, that's another way to do this. I can click on this heading, I can click here on ellipsis, and there should be an option to create a data group, right? So there are two ways to do it. You can click on a plus here, or you can click on this, then click on ellipsis, and then click on data group. Okay, so here is my numeric field. Take a look. This is a difference. For the numeric columns, Watson Analytics is going to give me a default. And default is 5. And it's trying to do equal width. It means equal interval, right? It's equal interval. It does not matter how many cars I have with less than 20 miles per gallon, right? It's gonna go by approximately equal miles per gallon range, right? And here I just can say city underscore mpg bind, right? Bind. There we go. So I'm gonna click on done. Well, there might be situations when you do it, but I'm just basically showing you how to do it at the moment, right? I'm showing you different capabilities that you can do. Now here, when I click on this, and when I click on ellipsis, there is an option called property, right? Property. And let me show you what you'll see. There we go. So here I can rename my field. Here I can change the data type, and usually it depends on what values the field has, right? Sometimes if it's numeric, for instance, you can change it. You can treat numeric values as categorical. Well, sometimes you would not want to do it, but okay. Now here, since the values are the text, you have to select a value. You cannot do the range, right? So you don't have this option here. Aggregation. And I'll have to show you the discovery to explain you what that means. But here, by default, if I want to look at this field, it's going to do count distinct. And I'll show you what I mean when we start doing the discoveries. Here, I can specify if I want to sort my column. If I want to sort, right, the data by this column. In this case, I don't. Here, basically, I might specify if I want to use this column as a predictor, right? Well, in this case, I'm going to uncheck this. It's because I was just playing around with my data group, right? It's not something that I want to use. I was just showing you how to create the data group. And if I selected to use this as part of the prediction, I could also select anything as a target. Target variable is a variable that we want to predict. And in the case of this car dataset, you have several options. You can predict the car price, you can predict the car efficiency, and you can predict the car risk level. I believe this variable exists in this dataset. Car risk level is called symbolin. Yeah. So now you could also edit the data group from here. So now I have this field properties open. I can use the arrows here to navigate to another field, right? Like discounted price and so on. And let me exclude discounted price. I don't want to use that. All right, so now, but notice here how you have the slider and you have a selected value. It's because this is numeric, right? So this piece here, it determines how the field is filtered. So let me close this out. Close. So if you look at this, see this, if I click on a price, this is a slider. I can use the slider to select the fields, to select the records rather with the values that fall into the specified range, right? So I can specify which prices I want to select, right? So here I'm between 19K and 45K. But wait a minute, what if I want everything but 19K to 45K? I can do invert, right? Or I can do clear to clear my filter. Now, if your data has missing values, one way to handle missing values is to remove the row that has missing values, right? See this? Include blank. You have an option to exclude blank, right? So just know that this exists here, right? See this? So right now I have it blank here, and I can do this. I can exclude, right? Uncheck, and it is gonna exclude the rows with missing values, right? Okay, and sometimes you want to do that, sometimes you not. If your data set is small, in general, you don't want to, you want to avoid deleting the data with missing values. You can go with imputation, but let's not worry about this for right now. Now here, this is your friend, undo, right? Suppose that I did something that I didn't really mean to do it. I can keep on undoing. You might be wondering for how long I can go by undo. Well, that's a good question. I don't have the answer at the moment. I believe it's until the last time you saved, right? But okay. So now let me go back. See this? I click on undo. It will undo the change, but if I change my mind, I can always redo. So now let's go ahead and save it. How do I know that it's not saved? Take a look at this. If you see the asterisk next to the file name, it means that my recent change has not been saved. So let me go ahead and save this. And you see this little globe spinning, it means that it's saving. You could also include, exclude the column, and I'll show you how to do that. Here, see this? Oops, let me see, let's click here. There are some more options. I'm trying. Oh, this is column properties. Here, this is a menu here, and you can choose to include or exclude certain columns, right? Keep in mind that if you exclude the column here, or if you create any calculated column here, it will be available for all discoveries that use this data. It will be available for all discoveries that use this data. As you will see shortly in the discovery workbook, you also see something similar to the refine interface. You'll see that. But any changes that you make in the discovery workbook will apply only to the discovery workbook, right? So now let's go ahead and save it again. And basically, see this, when you click on the arrow, the menu opens up, right? On the other hand, if you just tap on this icon, by default, it's going to pick the first action item in the menu, which is save, right? So now if I was going to return to the landing page, I can just click on Watson Analytics logo. Or I can click on this arrow and select the landing page option. Oops. Oh. Okay. So when it happens, you just try again. Okay? Oh, okay, I got excellent questions. One of you just asked me, at the top over here, it says 42.7 gigabytes. That's the space utilized by the account. And we got this subscription account last fall. So this is how much space was used since last fall. Yes, so this subscription, this is the fourth semester when I manage a subscription. So this is the total space in the subscription. It's not the total space on my account, but that's an excellent question. I like this question. Anyhow, let's try saving it again. Okay, now let's see while it's saving. So here I went through refining the data, and here I just summarized it for you, different parts of an interface, and I promise you will have a copy of this slide, right? And I summarized what you can do and different properties, so you can have that as well. And I summarized what the data quality score is. So remember that if the distribution is close to normal, then it's more likely it's going to be higher data quality score, right? Here is more on adding the calculation column. I'm just put some notes for you how to do that. And also, this is what I talked about the data group. So remember that the differences between the numeric columns and the non-numeric. If it's a numeric, it's going to provide you the suggested breakdown, and you can always change the boundary points, and you can always uncheck equality, and you can always change, and you can change the number of beans as well. While on the other hand, if you have categorical, you physically have to define the groups and you have to assign these values to the groups, right? Now, this is important. This is important, and I put this picture for a reason. It's because there is no recycle bin. When I delete something, it's going to be gone forever, right? So that's saved now. Okay, that's saved. So let's go back to the landing page. I'll show you where the delete is. But you want to be super careful because there is no way in the world to undo. See this? Here it is. And I'm so glad that they put it towards the bottom. Before it was the first thing in the menu. So here is delete. Here, this is a relatively recent option. The asset information, so it can tell me the file name and that I imported it successfully. Well, sometimes I can see more details. If I make any changes, I'll usually see that, right? So let's close that. Now, so you're gonna make sure that if you just remember it, if you delete, it's gone forever, right? And there is another important rule that I need to enforce. You'll be saving the files in your personal area, right? For right now, just the personal area. Later on, when you work on a group assignment, I'll have a group folder created for you, and I'll show you how to access it. But nobody will save files to the root of shared folder. Nobody will do that because anything saved here can be accessed by anyone. It can be modified by anyone, and it's not going to be good, and it's going to get cluttered, and nobody knows whose work it is, right? So Yelena has a rule. Anything that's saved in the wrong place will be deleted. So Yelena has a folder. I call it trash can. Anything that's saved in the wrong place is going to go in here, and you would need to contact me, right? So remember that everybody is going to follow the rules. It's because we have 400 plus users in the system, right? So now let me go back to the personal folder, and I'll be checking this all the time. I'll be checking the shared area all the time. Trust me, I do that. All right. So now we were talking about natural language questions. What do I mean? I click on the cars. Take a look at what's going to happen. Watson Analytics is going to try to suggest me what I explicitly want to look at. And when I click on a visualization, suggested visualization, it will actually create a new discovery set, and it will show the visualization for me, right? And on the right here, you see the suggested visualization. So based on what I'm looking at right now, Watson Analytics may decide, hey, Yelena might be interested in something like this, right? Now, but I did not quite show you what the question, what I meant by natural language questions. I accidentally just clicked too quickly. So let's go with this again. We're going back to the landing page, and here it is. So when I click on this, when I just click on this, right, this is a list of questions. For example, what is the relationship between price and engine size by make, right? So I can keep on scrolling. I can select one of these, right? I can select one of these, or I'll show you how to ask your own. But I like this. What drives the price? So what this will do is it will create a spiral model for me, and every predictor, right? You're gonna see a pin for each driver. So driver basically is a factor. It's a variable. It's a field, rather column or a combination of columns that predict the car price. And each predictor has its own strengths, which you'll see it shortly, right? So you're gonna see a list of drivers here, and you're gonna see their corresponding strengths. The closer the pin to the center of the core, the more significant the predictor is. So here I can put my mouse over, and I can see this, that the HP and make are the predictors of the car price, right? And the predictive strength is 91%. And I can look at it further just by clicking on this plus sign. Here it will open a new tab, and I can look at it even more in more details, right? I can look at the breakdown. See this, the color code stands for the price, and see this, I can look at it, as you can see, HP 135 and above, and this is the car model, right? Yes. So here you can see the breakdown by price, and what you can also do is you can click on analysis, and it's going to give you some statistics, right? So that's something for you to look at and explore. When you click on analysis, most of the visualizations don't give you statistics, but the ones that give you is a decision tree. And then when you have the spiral model, if you click on a plus sign next to the predictor, right, you're gonna get the visualization and the statistics here. Right, so let's close this out for right now. And we need to be patient. They take some time to load because it's computing. So now let's go back here. Very important. You want to name these tabs because it's very easy to get lost. What did I do? What did I do here? So let's do this. Let's click on this, and I'm gonna click rename, and I'm gonna say price drivers. Now, what is it? Price. Secretly, this is one of the columns in the spreadsheet that I uploaded, right? And I could go in and I can change this. I can click here and I can change different variable for my driver, for my target rather, right? It's in the core. This is a core, right? Okay, so here I also see it lists my target variable. That's another way to change the target. You can click here and select another variable from here, right? What you could also do is you could filter your data. Here, do you remember I talked to you about the data tray here? You've seen this interface in Refine. The difference is that any changes that I make here will apply only to this workbook. It will not apply to other visualizations outside this workbook. On the other hand, if I make change to Refine at the Refine screen, it will affect all data sets that I will create from that file. Not all data sets, all discoveries. I should use correct vocabulary. Now let's go ahead. We have to save this. We want to always save it. And I'm going to save it in the personal area, right? I'm going to be good. And I'm going to call this Cars Discovery. Right? So let me go ahead and hit save. Now what I want to do, something went wrong. What did I do? Well, I did something. Okay? Well, when it happens, well, not to worry. We can just you can just close it up and just redo. Things happen. You just redo it and you resave it. And you save it as we're gonna rename it, and let's say price drivers. That's it. Very simple, right? So now what we can do is we can also see that it's suggesting we might be interested in the decision tree, right? So I can click here. Well, it just gave me the suggested visualization, and here I'm looking at the predictive model for the price. Price is a numeric variable, so what it's doing here, it's trying to put together a set of rules. This is a predicted value, it's an average. So when you read it, you can read it like this. If the car make is on this list, this is the average price of the car. And we have 61 cars that fall under this category. Now I have 66 cars that fall under these categories. Right, so we have a make, and then we have a car width, and this is the average price. Then I have 74 cars that fall under this category, and so on, right? I keep on going through. Now what I could do is, I can look at my trees view, and to read your tree, you're going to start from the top node, right? Ooh. Here we go. You can start from the top node, and you're going to traverse the tree from the top down, right? So here it is. This is all records, and the first splitting field is make. So I'm going to say if my car make falls on this list, this is a pass I take, right? This is a pass I take. Then usually, if there are child nodes, I can expand this. Well, for some reason I did not quite get what I expected to get, but just get an idea. Here is the root node. You start from the root node. This is your first splitting variable, which is make, right? So I traverse the tree. I say, okay, is my car make fall on this list? If it does, then I take this pass. Otherwise, I take this pass, and then I'm looking at the weeds, right? And I take a split and accordingly, and see that the darker the color, the higher the price. Now, since I don't really like this, I can change a different variable just by clicking here. And let's try this. Let's try to do the city miles per gallon. And right now, it's going to rebuild this for me. I just changed the target variable. So some data set that you're working with, you have more than one option for the target variable, depending on the study. In this specific car study, I can look at miles per gallon, or I can look at the price, or I can look at the horsepower, or I can look at the risk level. All right. Well, for some reason, I would have to look into it further, but basically, HP variable is a significant predictor, seems to be. But for some reason, I'm not sure what's going on. I have to look into it. But let's try to do the categorical variable. Let's try to do the symboling. It should be here. So symboling stands for the car risk level. And I believe the values go from 1 to 6. No, -3, -2, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. So that's basically, it stands for the car risk level. 3, 4, yeah. So there are like 6 values, possible values. So now it's computing the tree. And what I wanted to show you the difference between, it still did not do what I wanted to do. It still did not do. I'll have to, it's because, I see what the problem is. The problem is that it's reading it as a number. I should have changed it. I should have changed it as a categorical. It's because, see this? The problem is that this field here, it has numeric class values. That's why. So I have to get into my properties, and I have to change it to the here. I have to get to type, and I have to change it to text, for instance. Yeah, let's change it to text, and now it should do it. And I'm gonna close this, and it should do what I wanted to do, because it should be doing the classification here. And another thing is that if you look here in the analysis, well, it should recalculate. Okay. So basically, if you look at the analysis, you will see something called confusion matrix, and I have it in the slides. So no worries, I have it in the slides. So what I was showing you here, right? When I clicked on the data set, Watson Analytics is going to give me the set of predefined questions. It's just something that it kind of thinks from the top of its head, so to speak. And it was determined, well, do you remember when we uploaded the file, you saw message processing? When it's processing, it's trying to find these relationships in your data, right? So that's where it comes from. And I'll show you this. I'll show you more on asking questions, but let's go back to it and see if it's finished. Oops, it still didn't do what I wanted to do. Well, but take a look at this. Here is a formatting, right? You can change the formatting of your model. You can change the colors and so on. Here, analysis, well, for some reason, well, okay, for some reason it did not work for this specific data set. I'll have to look into it. But in general, here you will see the confusion matrix, and I'll show you a different example. So let's go back to this here. Oops, and I have another example. So no worries. This is another example. Let's go back, scroll down. There is an example that I did in the other session, and that was about the student, something related to student retention. Let's see. So here is a discovery. Let me click. There is a retention tree that looked much nicer than that. So here it is. Here it is. So this is a categorical example that I wanted to show you. This specific dataset tracks the student information, including the number of absences, the club memberships, how many times a student visited the health center, and if the student received the financial aid, and so on. And the target variable, I was trying to predict if the student will be retained. So this is, I can look at the decision rules. When I look at the rules, this is how you read the categorical data. It's important. I can say I have 1,065 students who fall into this student profile. They live on campus. They visited the health center 0 times. They belong to at least one club, and this is their GPA, right? And these students are retained. 100% of these students are retained, right? So I keep on going through each of these profiles. So if a student falls into this profile, there is a 100% chance that the student will be retained. And I keep on going, right? So now I'm interested to see who is not retained. To see this, I can flip here, and I can look at not retained. And, well, this data set is good to choose for a good reason. And the reason is it's usually a significant predictor is attendance. To be quite honest, the significant predictor is attendance. Just something to keep in mind. The significant predictor of the student's success is attendance. For some reason I don't see it here, but okay. Anyway, so now here I wanted to show you this, and I need to show you. If you click on analysis, you will see it now. Here it's showing me, this is important information that's called classification table, but in some books you see it as confusion matrix. I have 631 students who were not retained, and predicted as not retained. Here is the number of students that were retained, and they were predicted as retained. Here, I predicted that 360 students will be retained, but they were not, and other way around. So, how good is my model? What I have to do is I have to add the numbers on the diagonal and divide it by the total, by the sum, right? Because the numbers on the diagonal are correct, are accurate predictions rather, right? If you scroll down here, it shows you the first predictor. It looked at the club membership, infirmary visit, overall GPA, total class hours. Well, what happened to attendance? I may have eliminated it. Not quite sure, but let's just look at it. Let's just look at it as is. Right? So here you're gonna see what it did to split, to do the splitting. It did equal frequency binning. So for instance, some of it, like a GPA, right? It's a numeric variable. So it did discretization. It's also called discretization, right? So if you look, if you look at the tree here, well, you'll see it. You have the split here. Yeah, to navigate around the tree, you have to use your mouse. The mouse. You have to use this. You can use this plus or minus button to zoom in, zoom out, and see this here. This rectangle is a section of the tree that is visible. Oh, and you traverse the tree from top to bottom. So, see, this the first significant factor is the housing in this case, right? So I'm gonna say is a housing off campus? If it is, I go down this branch, right? So remember it, housing, right? If I go back here, housing is here. I saw it here, right? Yeah. So you see it in you should see it in here. All important, all variables that it used for the split, you should see them here actually. Like infirmary visit, right? What did it do? It did an equal frequency binning to split, right? Sometimes it could also combine values. If the values are categorical, like you saw in the other example, the car make, it combines the values into each branch, right? You remember it, you saw it earlier. The car make values were categorical, so instead of doing splitting, it was combining the values. Now, so this is how you do it. You traverse the tree all the way until you get to the leaf node, and when you get to the leaf node, that's how you get the class of a new instance. The class of the new record is a dominant class value at the leaf node. See this? The green color stands for retained, blue not retained, but I could do this option here. I can only show the dominant class, or I can show all. Well, it will make sense when you have more than one class. So if I turn this on, then I'm going to see only the dominant, but sometimes I want to see the breakdown among other classes, right? If I have more than two values here, for instance, retained, not retained, then maybe, I'm just making it up, right? So if I had three, sometimes I want to see the dominant, but I also want to see the breakdown among others, right? So that's one reason I could do that. Now, and again, here you can change the formatting, such as text. You can change the color codes. It's just in the formatting, so I'll let you play at your leisure with this. Remember that you have to save it. See, if I see this asterisk, it means it's not saved. I have to show you now how to ask your own questions. So I'm gonna click here. Oh, wait, I have to wait for it to save. See, this is the reason I'm getting errors, because sometimes I'm rushing myself. So take a look at this. I'm looking at this specific data set, right? And I'm not quite sure what I want to ask, right? I'm not quite sure. So I can click here, how do I ask a question? And there is a variety of questions here. I can do the aggregation, I can do the prediction, and I can do the understand the relationship between different pieces of my data, and I can do the comparison. So basically I just select the category here, and then I can select my fields. Like for example, how does the value of overall GPA compare by marital status? Ask. That's it. What it will do, it added the starting points. It added the starting point for me. So now I can pick the visualization. The darker the color code, the more relevant the visualization is to my question. So I can just pick this bar chart, and that's it, right? And notice that this is dynamic. Depending on what I'm currently looking at, it will pick the other visualizations that I might be interested in, right? It depends on what I'm looking at, again, right? Okay, so now you remember always to save your work. Okay, I saved it. Let me show you something else. I'm gonna click here. Look, I'm gonna type my question here. Car price. Enter. What Analytica is gonna do is it will search all data sets that I have access to. And to do this, I can be either on data screen or on discover screen. When I enter something here in a search, Watson Analytics will search all data that I can access for possible discoveries that I might be interested in, right? Possible starting points. And it will present everything here. It will be not only the data set that I have in my personal folder, it's everything that I have access to. Very important, right? So that's another reason you don't want your work to be accessible to 400 plus people in the system. Okay, see here it is. Now here it will show me the question, and it will also show me the data set. It will show me the data set here, where it's pulling this information from, right? But for some unknown reason, it doesn't show me the dataset location. So I don't know, maybe I'm looking at the data that my classmate saved in a shared area where he or she is not supposed to save it, right? Maybe I will go in and somehow do something that my classmates might not like later on, right? So you want to watch out. So I can go here, and if I click here, it will start new discovery, right? It will start new discovery. Now let me close this out. I don't want to save it, but this is what I want you to remember, that there are several ways to ask a question. If I just type in my question here while I'm on the data screen or on discovery screen, it will be asked the question. The question will be applicable to all data that I can access. On the other hand, if I click on specific data set and ask a question, the question is applicable only to this specific data set that I'm looking at, right? So this is important, and I promise you'll remember that. So now we went over the discovery, right? So, okay, I have my models. Just suppose I have my models, okay? Now I'm ready to create a presentation. How do I present my findings to professor? I'll do this. I click on display. And now I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on new display. And there are 3 types of the display, and I'm going to make you a promise. I promise you that we're going to cover expert storybooks in the next session, right? So for today, we're going to focus on the dashboard. And let's say cars dashboard. For the assignment, are we just, what? Let me see the question. I didn't see the question. Chart. For the assignment, I will just spinning things like the tree grouping. Well, I have to look at exact assignment in your session, but oh, you mean for the visualization that you place in appendix? I would have to look at the requirements posted in your session, because the requirements could be slightly different depending on the session, but in general, I think yes, your paper needs to include a screenshot of what's being discussed. Yeah, but it's a matter of including screenshots to support the discussion, not discussion to support screenshots, right? Did I answer the question? I hope I answered the question. Anyhow, take a look at this. Let's create a dashboard now. I'm gonna see dashboard. I'm gonna say create, right? Okay, create. Now I have an option to choose the layout. Well, I just like this. I like this for panels. But the one you want to use, well, it depends exactly on what you're presenting and how big the visualization is. There is a variety of things to consider. Now, what I can do is I can create a new discovery, or I can add my existing discovery. Take a look. Here, I can add anything that I can access, right? You're not going to see other users. I see it because I'm an admin. But let's take a look at this. See this shared? As an admin, I see all that was done by students from last semester, right? As an admin. If you accidentally save your work to the root of the shared folder, everybody will see it, right? You don't want anyone to come in and use your work, right, or modify work. Now let me go to personal. So this is my work. This is what I should be looking at. And as you may notice, I have some subfolders that I created, and I'll show you how. And see that this is our cars discovery. And let me click on it. When I click on it, I'm expanding the list of tabs. Each of these was a tab in the discovery workbook. So I'm gonna do this. And see this is a problem. I did not rename the untitled. So now I'm looking at it and I don't remember what I did, right? I just don't remember. Well, anyway, let's just drag and drop. Oh, forgot to tell you, pay attention here. Pay attention. Look, my cursor is over this blue arrow, right? When my cursor is over this blue arrow, my visualization is just going to feed this slot, right? You want to put your cursor on top of the blue arrow. Here I can click, this is called the focus mode. I can click on this and I can make some adjustments. See this, the data tray. I can modify this visualization if I want to, right? I can click on this data tray and I can add the filters, and I can look at my analysis and so on, and I can change the variables here if I wanted to. But now let's minimize this. Let's close this, right? For the demonstration purposes, what I'll do here, I'm gonna add another tab. So just remember this, that your dashboard can have more than one tab, right? Your dashboard can have more than one tab. And there are several ways to add filters. There is a filter all tabs, and if I do that, it will apply to every single tab in a display workbook. Ultimately, I can define a filter that will apply only to the current tab, right? Or I can define a filter only for the specific visualization. To do this, I would just do this. I could go to the focus mode and define the filter, right? The way you would do in a discovery workbook. Okay, let's exit the focus mode. So now let me show you how to do that. So first, I have to create another tab. So here it is. I click on the plus sign, and I'm just gonna select one, and let me just do, you know what? I'm gonna select the same one because I wanted to show you the impact. Look here, right above the arrow. Drag and drop. Now what I'm gonna do is here, I'm going to, let's do this. I'm going to create a filter for this tab only, right? This tab, and I'm going to add the. See this? I click on a filter. And I'm going to use the HP purposely. I want to use HP on purpose. Okay, so here I click on it. It added the filter. For right now, I don't see any changes to my data, and I don't because I did not define the filter. So I have to go in here and I have to do this edit filter values, and I can just do this. Now, see this? I change this, right? I'm changing it. My visualization here changes, okay? See here, I see the changes. On the other hand, when I go back to this tab here, it's unchanged. See this? The change that I just made, the filter that I just applied on the second tab did not affect this visualization. It's because that filter is applicable only to that second tab. See this? When I switch to the second tab, I see this filter. When I go back to the first tab, I don't. On the other hand, what you could do is you could define the filter for all tabs, right? So let's see what other variable is used here. Oh, I see the make. So what I could do here, I could go to all tabs, and I can do this, I can do filters, and let's see, this is our make, right? Make, oops, no, that's not what I want. I want it on all tabs. Oops, so let's do this. We have to do delete, right, because that's not what I wanted. Oh, do I have to? Okay, and now let's do make. Make, oops, where did it go? Okay, let's look at it another way. All tabs, right? So I click on all tabs, and I have to drag and drop. See this? I'll get it. Take a look. I have to drag it like this. Watch, watch, watch. I selected it, and I drag it. This is how I do it. There we go. Because when I click on it, it just goes to this tab by default. So now what I'll do is I'm gonna do this, edit filter values, and I'm just going to select which car makes I want to look at, right? So I did not select all of them. I just did this. Now let me see what's gonna happen. This changed. Here it changed, right? This visualization changed. And this visualization also should have changed. Why did it happen? It's because I applied my filter to all. So this is something to keep in mind. And let's save this. It's doing save as. Just save. Okay. Now, what I could do is I could delete the filter, but remember there's a difference between deleting and clearing filter. If I do this, if I say clear filter, it will just clear the values. It will just clear the filter criteria, but it did not quite remove this from filters area. To remove it, I will have to select delete. Okay? So now you see that the only filter that's applicable here is make. Oops, not sure why I didn't delete it, but delete. Okay, got it. It worked now. Now here I have to point out there is a edit mode and view mode. So when you see these eyeglasses here, it means you currently are in the edit mode. And to go back to the view mode, you would have to click on glasses. Now remember, always save it, right? I have to save it. It was not saved because I see this asterisk. Here, this is how you toggle. And sometimes when you open an existing display, you cannot make any changes. It's because you're not in the edit mode. You have to get into the edit mode to make changes. Here you can also, well, this feature works, it should work well in the Google Chrome browser, but it may be quite slow in other browsers. But this capability allows you to download the visualization as images. You may email it as attachment to yourself, right? And you can send a link, I believe, yeah. So this part, you know that it's possible to do. Like, for instance, you want to include the visualization in your assignment submission. You might take a screenshot, the snipping tool if you're a Windows user, or equivalent tool in Mac, or you may just download this. You may download this as an image and then add an image to your Word file. So that's one option. Now here you also got the widgets, and you can change the background, you can play around with formatting, but I'm gonna leave it for you as a homework exercise. How about that? Ungraded homework exercise. Just play around with it and try to add shapes, try to add text. Well, anyhow. So that's how you do the visualization. So now let me go to slide. I always want to make sure that I'm not skipping anything. So we went over the drivers, right? We went over the target variables. Remember, target variable is what we are predicting. The remaining variables are either predictors or not used at all. And I'm just giving you an illustration of what the tree is going to look like for the numeric variable. And for the in the other slide you saw the categorical variable. So basically, to read the rules, you have to traverse the tree from left to right. And you want to look at the splitting variables, and you want to look at the node. And then for each node, you have the information for each node includes the total. Here is the total number of instances, total number of records that fall into that node. Yeah. And also, see this, that's a percentage, right? It's telling me that 12% of the record fall into the selected node here. Yeah. Something for the categorical variables, it's similar. It's just gonna tell you how many instances fall into a given category in that node. How many instances fall into that node. And to see those numbers, you have to put your mouse over it. See that this is an example we looked at, right? So you're gonna have it on a slide. You're gonna have it summarized on the slide. Because, okay, see this? It's it here. Here, this is what I was talking about. See this? There is another field here called attendance. I may have by accident excluded it from that copy. But anyhow, just remember it. The number of absences is a strong predictor of the student's success. In the online classroom, number of absences could be the number of discussions where the student did not participate. Let's say it this way. So now here, this is basically, I'm showing you the options you have. You may look at the analysis. Remember, confusion matrix, right, or classification matrix is only for categorical target variables. If I'm predicting the car price or the house price, I'm not going to get the confusion matrix because it's not a categorical variable, right? And I just summarized for you. This is an example of how to read the confusion matrix. And you will see this, you will start looking at the models. I think it's like 5, something like that. Yeah, or 6 when you start looking at more at the models such as decision tree or Simon tree, I think. You have to use a categorical target and continuous. Yeah, something like that. So you may want to revisit this presentation. You may want to revisit this, right? And yes, I have to show you how to do this as a summary type of, I need to show you how to do that also. So let's go back here. Oops. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my landing page and I'm going to return to my visualization. Now, I think I had it open. So here, if I click on the arrow here, it's going to show me everything that I have open, right? If I see this little asterisk, it means that I did not save it, right? Okay, so let me check this here. Ooh, I want to go back to my discovery, right? I'm gonna do the car discovery in this case, and what I'm gonna do is, okay, now I'm gonna click on this plus sign, and I will select. See this all the way. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to select the custom. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so now if I scroll down, if I scroll all the way down, see this? This is a tables. I want to do the table, summary table, and now, oops, let's close this. Okay, so what I have to do is I have to drag and drop the fields. And I can select here, it has to be a categorical. Make. I just drag and drop. And then here, I want to see perhaps, see this, we want to look here at the price. And I'll show you what I meant by aggregation before. So let me click on the price. So right now, this is what I wanted. It's showing the average price for car make, right? But let me show you. Suppose that it was not showing the average. Suppose it was showing me the total, the sum of all cars, or the sum of all prices, right? What if it was showing me the sum instead of average? This is what I would have to do. I would have to click on the price in here, right? I would have to click on this properties, on this ellipsis to open the properties. I would have to go to properties, and I would have to change the aggregation type. Oops, properties, come on. And then I have to check the here. See this? Average. I'm doing the average. This is what I wanted to do, right, in this case. But in general, if you don't see what you want to see, you would click on this arrow and you will be able to change it. Like you want, for instance, I want to see the maximum price, or I want to see the minimum price, and so on, right? This is how you would do it. Let's close. And you can also do more than one variable, like for instance city miles per gallon. I just drag it and it's gonna add another column. It should add another column. Oops. Well, not sure what happened, but it should, in theory. I was hoping to add another column, but oh, I have to do the multiplier. My fault. I would have to look at this highway. It's gonna add another table for me, I think. Oops. Anyway, it's not cooperating now. So sometimes when you're working, you might see it going a little bit slow. It's because it has to do with caching. So I've been using it for what? For over an hour, right? To speed it back up, I would probably have to log out and log back in and clear the cache. Sometimes it's happening. So if it's happening, I mean, don't worry about it. You just log out and log back in and use another browser. But you see, I've been using it for quite long enough. Now let's see. So you've got a grid, and this is another summary type, right? Where you can see the average. So that's where it is. Table, grid, and the summary. Now what else? This slide is about the displays. So mainly dashboard. You use dashboard when you want to split data into several tabs, right? And then you can define a separate filter for each tab. Infographic is going to be a single page, right? How nice. How nice, huh? All right. Well, when it happens, I just log back in. Oh, it just let me log back in. Well, things like that happen. See that you're in a cloud environment and there are multiple factors involved. I have to see what else I'm running on my PC. Sometimes when the Windows updates are running, it just it does something that I don't like and have no control over, right? Alright, so if you're a Windows user, when your Windows update are running, you might want to wait for updates to finish because, again, yeah. Now let's see. I want to make sure that I cover everything important. Here I just showed you how to add the discoveries to display, right? Or you can create a new discovery as well. And here I'm just summarizing the menu bar. And notice everywhere you have the help. You have a help menu available everywhere. You have undo, redo buttons on most of the screens. So this is just showing you how to add. You just drag and drop, right? And here I'm just summarizing different types of filters. Individual visualization, it's when I enter the focus mode, and whatever I add will apply only to the visualizations that I clicked on. And then I can define the global filter on the whole dashboard, and I can define the filter on a single tab. If I was using infographics, I would have to define either on a single visualization just by going in the focus mode, or filter on all, right? I cannot have a subset like this, either one or all. And this is basically the page, the landing page. If you go back to the landing page and if you select the display, well, you'll see here I have the same options. I can do list and I can do this view. I can do the list view or I can do the tile view. Whichever I'm most comfortable with. I can do the search and I can do the sorting. And another thing is that you have several assignments, right? You'll be doing multiple things. And to get organized, you can create a folder. So here it is. I'm in my personal area right now. I can click on new folder, and I can name my folder assignment 2, right? So that folder is going to be located in my personal area, only my personal area, right? Anything that's saved in the wrong location will be destroyed. Okay, so now here it is, and this, suppose this was part of my assignment 2, right? And I want to move it to assignment 2 folder. I'll just do this. I click here, I select move, and I select where I want to move. Wait a minute. Why did I get this message? It's because my file is still open. You have to close your file before you can move it. So I have to go back here, I have to find my file and close it, right? And now I should be able to move it. I go cars and I go to move, and it should do it now. But I demonstrated that error. It's because it's one of the common errors, one of the common messages that people get. It's one of the frequently asked questions. So I wanted to make sure that you saw it. Right, so now I moved the dataset into assignment 2 folder. Let me show you how to access it again. So this is a directory, right? Here are the files in the current directory. I'm right now in the personal. To get to my assignment 2, I have to click on a plus sign to expand personal. Then I have to click on assignment 2. Then here I see the datasets inside assignment 2. Here, discover. This will show me discoveries inside assignment 2. They're known. Displays, right? They're known at the moment. I have to tell you something extremely important here. If I go in and if I delete this data set, I'm gonna make a big mistake. Because, number one, it cannot be restored. Number two, I have a discovery that I used. I have some discoveries that I used, right? I use a data set rather to create some of my discoveries. As soon as I delete the data set, my discoveries will become invalid. So do you think re-importing the data again will fix the issue? No, unfortunately not. Even if I import another file with the same name, my discovery that was corrupted cannot be repaired, because every file in the system has a certain internal unique identification number. That number is associated with your discovery. Even though after you delete the dataset, when you delete it, you will be able to create another file with the same name, it's not the same file that was used to create a discovery. So if it's broken, you really cannot fix it. So it's more damage than just no recycle bin. So something to watch out. On the night when the assignment is due, be careful with what you're deleting. If you're not sure if you want to delete it, do this. In your personal area, create a subfolder that you call recycle or trash can, and you put it in that folder. And then when you're absolutely sure that you want to delete it. Right? You don't want to create, so to speak, clutter, right? But it's a both ways. It works both ways. You don't want to have a clutter because then it's very easy to get lost, right? What does that mean? What is that? On the other hand, if you deleted something, you want to keep in mind the dependencies, right? And I'm going to repeat the dependencies in the next session because we're going to be talking about sharing files with the group, right? Yes. So now let's take a look at this. I showed you this page. This is important rules. Nobody will be saving files in the root of the shared folder because this will go to trash. Okay. Now, other important tips. Well, there is a web page here where they used to announce the scheduled maintenance date, but for some reason, I don't see October and November. Hopefully, they will add them, but I already contacted them. I already contacted the IBM about it. But anyhow, let's say it this way. If you log in, if you see this page, it means that the Watson Analytics is currently undergoing the scheduled maintenance. So try later. But let me tell you the little secret. Usually, even though it's not announced, usually the maintenance window is on Fridays, 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. So try to do something fun and stay away from Watson Analytics. Well, Watson Analytics is fun, but try to do another fun activity during that time and stay away from using the system. Okay? So you don't want to use the system while it's doing the maintenance window. During the maintenance window, sometimes you may not see the maintenance page. Well, you might be able to access some functionalities, but not others. Now here, this link is to check which browsers are supported, which browsers are not supported. Well, usually it shows which browsers are supported. You want to make sure that yours is supported. You're gonna love this. This is a community forum, and sometimes I post questions in there also. But, well, sometimes when I have a question about something, there is a high chance that somebody else asks the same question, so I can just go in and I can read through, right? Sometimes I can find my answers here. Who knows? Or sometimes if I sign in, I can ask my own question. If I sign in, I can put the questions, right? So now you know that, right? This resource exists. Here it is. This is a new learning center. You would love it. It's a getting started videos, and then there's a bunch of how-to videos. I put together additional resources to read Watson Analytics for Students how-to videos. So those Professor Billy from Deakin University, they put together this page. And then there is a YouTube channel. There is a set of use cases you can look at. And then this page, a lot of students, especially from DC area, have been asking me how the Watson Analytics is being used in the government. So this is a good page for you. Now there is a page for statistical terms. And then there is a Twitter and Facebook page for Watson Analytics, right? So here are some more resources you might be interested in, because some people were asking me questions about the dates and so on. And here are more use cases, so you can look at these links at your leisure, right? So let's see, do we have questions? And while you're thinking about questions, I need to tell you something that will motivate you to use Watson Analytics even more. Last spring, the team of 3 students from UMUC participated in a global Watson Analytics competition. So it's not just UMUC teams, there were teams from all over the world. And the topic, they did the presentation on climate change impact on Lyme disease in the United States, and a team from UMUC, they took the 2nd place out of 210 teams. So it was also announced in the news, in UMUC news. So this is some good news, and it might help you be excited about using this program. So we had a winner at UMUC, and those students, they had an opportunity to present the project in Malaysia this summer. So it's in a big educational conference. So just keep that in mind, that we had a nice accomplishment. How do we access? Oh, that's an excellent question. How do we access the course, Watson Analytics Fundamentals course? So if you scroll up, and you will have a copy of these slides. There we go. So this is a Cognitive Class webpage. I have to go in, I have to paste it in my browser. Right? Here it is. I pasted it in my browser. You will need to sign up for the free account. It's a free account. Right? I'm already signed in. But what you have to do is you have to create your profile, right? And after you create your profile, you'll go to courses, and then you will have to find this It's right here, right now. And you would have to click on the course, and you would have to enroll. You would need to enroll in the course. So see this web page, Cognitive Club class web page. That's a course that you want to look at. And once you sign in, right? Once you enroll, you just click go to class. And here I'm just showing you the time estimate. When you complete, you also need to claim the badge, and you could add it to your LinkedIn profile. You can add it to your Facebook profile, something like that. Once you get this badge. Some courses here give badges. Yes. I hope I answered the question. Let me know if I have not. Yeah. Yeah, you go to class and you start working on this. And you want to start it as soon as you can, because trust me, some videos need to be watched more than once. Some videos you would have to watch more than once. Yeah. And remember, the transcripts are still downloadable, I think. Now here, when you log back in, it tells you where you stopped. So for instance, this is what I was looking at when on my last login. Yeah. So yes, I hope, did I answer the question? Please let me know. I want to make sure that I answered the question. Let me look at the chat, because I cannot really see your question. Okay, so I answered this. Oh, okay. For the assignment, we just, yes, to take a screenshot, yes, you can use the snipping tool, or you can also save the image. You saw it, right? I was showing how to save the image. How do we access? Yes, I just showed you how to access it. Oh yeah, excellent. I'm so glad that I answered the question. So, and yes, you want to download the certificate. When you complete the course, at the very end, you will see this completion certificate and badges. You'll see it. Oops, it's taken. Oops. Well, anyhow, when you complete it, you'll see that here you have to click it, and then on the right panel, you see a link to download it. Okay? Oh, here it is. Here. Sorry. Not sure what I was doing, but here. This is how you get this. And see here, you click on view certificate, and then you just download it. You click on view, and then it will open it in a PDF format. And then there is a button to print. And you can print it as PDF, or you can just save it. You can just save it. This is how you get it. Okay, good. Questions. Well, when people don't have questions, Elena asks questions. Do you remember the 3Ds of Watson Analytics? Right? The 3Ds that were important: data, discover, display, right? You remember what class you need to take, right? Remember the passing score, right? You remember that you have assignment to due in 2 weeks, right? So, but you have to take this test. You need to pass this test first, right? And then you have other resources in your classroom. The guide, the study guide, I think, yes. Watson Analytics study guide. Yeah. So try to use the data set that comes with a guide and follow along, because that's how you learn it, right? And several students from other sessions pointed out that yes, the test has questions where multiple choice questions where you select all that apply. Well, I realize that it could get tricky a little bit, but the good news are you get 2 attempts on those questions. You get 2 attempts. Something else I want to give you the tip. If you notice that you missed a lot of questions, take screenshot. If you missed a lot of questions when you took the test, take a screenshot. Save the screenshot. Why? Because, well, I know there is no way to retake the test, right? But if you have to, if it comes to it, you'll talk to me. I'll tell you what you need to do. But also, if you have a screenshot of the question that you answered wrong, you know the wrong answer. You might not have the correct answer, right? But knowing the wrong answer could help sometimes. If a question is true and false, guess what, right? So remember what you missed. If you missed something on the test, try to take a screenshot or try to remember what you missed. And it's also for you that you can look it up later on, right? Even if you pass the class, you still want to, if you want to look it up, or, well, basically, if you missed a lot of questions especially, take a screenshot. So that way, if I tell you what to do, right? But if you do end up repeating, you will know what to pay attention to, right? But for now, let's hope you pass it on the first attempt. Let's just think of it this way: you will study the videos, and all of you will pass on the first attempt. Let's just be positive, okay? Yeah. So let's see. We have more questions. More questions. So if you missed the questions, are you going to fail the test? That's an excellent question. Well, if you miss the questions, are you going to fail the test? Well, the passing score is 70%, overall passing score. So of course you may still miss questions. For instance, I took the test, I think I missed a couple questions. That's okay. It's because the overall passing score is 70, overall course passing score. So if you miss like a couple questions on the test, if you get 90, you still, of course. So because if you look at it here, see this, there are some rules. The rules are here. This is a grading schema rule, and it tells you that you have end of module questions and you have a test. So are you stating that we only have one attempt to pass the test? In theory, yes, but if you fail, there is a solution. The only way to retake the test is to take it as another user. How do you take it as another user? You sign up for an account with different email address. That's easy, isn't it? How many questions on the test? Oh, I think it's 22 or 24, something like that. Yes, but I'll tell you that it took me, this version of the course, it took me about 20 something, 22 minutes, something like that. But if you look at this is mine, right? This is my progress. If you look at the progress, it shows you how well are you doing. Well, this is mine. I totally, well, see this? I think I did really well. See this? I got like what, 100% on some of the questions. I got 90% on the final. I missed something here. Well, happens. See, I did not get all questions correctly, but somehow, see this? Well, it's taken your average score. If you go down, it tells you what you missed and how many you missed, right? But then, for the final test, it tells you here how you did. It tells you here, so I missed what? I missed several questions. It's not a problem. See, that's what I did. I got 83 on the final, and my average is 90. See this? But when I took the test, when I took it, I just quick, right? But because I was already more or less familiar with the application, right? I may not have been familiar with this specific version. But when you will be taking it, you will be taking it slow. You'll be watching each video over and over and over and over. And I went through click. All right, yes, you're most welcome. You're more welcome. Most welcome. But I'll tell you, if you get all questions correctly answered, I don't know if it's ever gonna happen. I have not heard about anybody who got everything right. So I guess there is room for error. So don't worry, there is a room for error. So you have to get 70 average to pass. As long as you get it, you're good. So you should be good, see? Don't worry. I mean, I went it quick. It's because, well, I had to make sure, I had to see what's in there, and mostly to see the content, so that I can tell people what to pay attention to. Yeah. Anyhow, let's see. What else? What other questions do we have? But yes, the test took me about 20 minutes. I didn't take my time on it. But you have 1 hour. So, nothing to worry about, I would say. So let's see, do we have other questions? And you know how to contact me, right? It's on the slides, and you will have a copy of the slides, I promise. Right? I'll mail the slides to your professor. So, and your teaching assistant, yes, I'll email them a copy of the slides. And I think I really like the question about the assigning datasets. Well, for this class, you choose a dataset. But yes, in some classes, I think it's in database program. Yes, in some classes, instructor assigns a dataset. You're right. But in this class, you have a choice. You have a choice, yes. We don't assign the dataset for the assignments. Yeah. But I really like that question. Anyway, do we have more questions? Steve, is there anything that you might want to add, something I may have missed? Because
No, I think that's a very thorough overview of the program. I think students are going to enjoy it. I know we've been using it now for about 2 years. It's caught on. It's used in a lot of organizations in the real world for real. And when you look at some of those use cases, you'll see some real companies using it. So I guess I'll go ahead and stop the recording. Let me
yeah.
do that so I make sure it gets saved.